Hi, Carol here. A warm welcome, tap, 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 to my craft room this morning. As I use the Stamperia Pink Christmas papers, this card, this Shabby Chic vintage card, is going to go inside the gift bag that I just created in my last tutorial. I did use this same paper as I fuddy cut. I can tell what kind of a tutorial this is going to be when I start out saying I fuddy cuttied. I fuddy cuttied the paper. I actually like that, fuddy cutty. And then I'm going to distress it with some brown ink. And then we're going to proceed to make a four-sided vintage card. As you know, I love to do four sides of my cards. Why not? How can we leave cardstock empty? I don't know. It longs for another structured and unstructured, actually, in vintage creating room to create more. And this way you get 4 card front ideas in one tutorial. So thank you for joining me, and I think we're going to have a lovely time together. Now, the first thing you need to do when you're doing a Shabby Chic vintage card is pick out your papers. And once you get, like, let's say the front, the inside, once you get all these papers, the white paper, let's go with that, covered, the embellishing part it just comes to you. It just flows. I'm going to take a pen because I couldn't find a pencil. I'm going to mark it, and one of my haul videos that I'm going to do shortly, I did get the Tim Holtz, what do they call this thing here? It is the decal cutter that, you know, instead of having to tear your papers, it's a quick way. There it is right there. It has all the edges, and you end up getting a nice little edge, quick and easy. And I already had this paper where I had fussy cut that piece to the left. This is what was left over. So I loved the blank part of it, you know, the negative part right here, as we call it, the negative, at the top now of the decal cutter. So it just went perfectly. I loved it. This paper, honestly, I have got to get more for just the simple reason it is the most elegant, beautiful Stamperia Christmas paper I have ever seen in any line of paper. This has it. This is up in the, 11 out of 10. So I think you're going to just enjoy the process. Sit back with me and gather around my table here, my island with me, and let's just have some wonderful creative time together. To make my tutorial not as long, I went ahead and got some craft paper and this stamp that had all of the brush lettering. It's the Old English font. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I stamped it ahead of time so that I had some filler. This is just paper where I have spaces I want to fill in. And what a pretty way to fill it in is with calligraphy. This Old English script. It's beautiful. It's one stamp. I used black ink and then I did clear embossing powder so that it didn't smear at any time, especially using a lot of liquid glue. You're going to want to have whatever's going next to it, emboss it, and with clear embossing powder, then you don't risk any smearing. And if you're like me, that is a problem. Yeah, so I took off some of the paper lines so that I could add a little bit more of the craft font paper that I created. And we're going to set this right here. And this is what I called, do it upside down, just like that, right up to the crease. I made this card and I put 2 lines in it so that I could have a, the word is gusset. Yeah, I stopped the video. You can tell there's no way of getting around that. I just had a brain freeze, and it's a gusset. I just put 2 lines when I was using my score tool. Just went down one and then moved over another line and scored it. And now I have my own card, which is 5 by 7. And I needed something to put behind this wonderful fussy cut edge. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, you could get your scissors and just make this edging, pretending you're cutting out an image when you're not, just to get this kind of hill valley effect. Little rough, Shabby Chic cards, vintage cards are a little rough around the edges, but that's what makes them so unique and beautiful. And that's why I love creating them. So I matched the craft behind this upper portion so that this beautiful fussy cut edge would stand off the page. And we are going to do all 4 sides. I did not start out with any kind of a plan. I just knew once I got the paper down and the visual, I would know what to do next just by going through the paper pack and looking at the images. Now, I did a few unique things. You've seen me do in other tutorials is I take an image, one is a heart and one is the deer, and I put them on, I grab my tool, you know, the ball tool, and I turn the image upside down and I break the paper behind those images. In my case, it was a heart and a deer. And I roll over it and over it and over it and over it to break the fiber in the paper. It gives you that indented, beautiful 3D look on your image. Then I'm going to show you how to keep that nice hill, opposed to, you know, when you're doing it, it's a valley. But that nice effect, I'm just breaking open the new Distress ink that I had gotten, the speckled egg, I think it's called. And I wanted to just go around the edges with this soft blue because it did go with this blue teal paper. So as I was saying, we're going to break some fiber. We're going to give some of our images some really wonderful looking, really wonderful looking 3D effects on making images stand out. It's easy, it's fun to do, and I know you're going to love it. I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you can get this image. One is making the image stand off the page without cutting the image. So that's a lot of fun. Now, I cut out just the sleigh in this package. I didn't want the reindeer, didn't want anything else in the sleigh, just the sleigh. And I put glossy accents on it, waited to dry overnight, and didn't use it. Do you ever find that? Oh yeah, I'm building it right up, and it looked beautiful, and I spent quite a bit of time fussy cutting all the little intricate parts of this. Look at those tags. Are they not gorgeous? This set is gorgeous. And I did use that right. Oh, get back there, Carol. Move that paper. I did use that one right there. Oh, my shattered nerves. Is that not gorgeous scene? I used this one. You can just tell when I get to the paper, I just, I mean, look at this paper. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. So I fussy cut these 2 round kind of, I don't know, globe looking images. They're small. I fussy cut. I made a hole after I put the glossy accents in them, and I made them nice and shiny, and I was going to use this as one of those, put a brad in it, and then you could be able to put a picture or something behind it. But I changed my mind, of course, as the design started to unfold. And that's the key. You don't have to use everything that you cut out, but it sure does give you a good running start, a good plan, so to speak, on how each one of these pages are going to unfold, and it's going to be as shabby and as chic as your brain can come out with all of these designs. And, you know, the paper will do it for you. Just looking at the paper will help you to design. And even though I had this glorious sled that was beautiful, I didn't use it, and I didn't use it in the envelope. I thought, well, maybe I could squeeze it in the envelope. I didn't do that. So here we go. We're going to put 1.5 tons of this crystal glaze. It's like glossy accents. We're going to put this entirely cover the sleigh. And as you see, I put it on top of one of the plastic protectors that I got some of the products in. So that way it's easy when it dries onto the plastic. It's easier than trying to get it off a piece of paper. That's for sure. That's where you're asking for trouble. You want to put it onto the plastic. So here, yeah, you can tell I'm running out. And I'm just letting that flow out so I can set it aside and not use it in my card. Yes. Some things just don't go, but yet look at them. They're stunning. And then I take my pokey tool to get all the air holes out. You want to do this now, not when it's like halfway dry. Just go around and poke the little air bubbles out. And I let it always go at least 3-4 hours, but I let it go overnight. And then I decide as I'm creating. So I wanted to cover this. I had this piece of paper that was already cut from something. And I wanted to cover the gusset where I actually made the actual card. And I turned it over the edge. And I have that strip there that, of course, needs to be covered. Now, you could cover it with one single sheet of paper if you wanted to. But I think breaking it up, you can see the way it's designed that it does have an edge to it. So why not put a small sheet of paper on the top and then add your larger paper on the bottom. And it depends how much paper too, my friends, you want to conserve. If you're just working with so many sheets of paper, go to your stash and get some paper that is plain, like just plain colored paper, and add that to the actual paper that you're working with. In my case, oh, look at that. I mean, I'm telling you, I had to stop at times and just look at all of the details, how it has this cloud effect, and it has that beautiful calligraphy in the paper, fading in and fading out. Just beautiful how they put all of this together so that you can be so inspired and taken away as you create with the designs. It's simply wonderful. And I put my scissors away right away. I can't have them in my hand too long or I end up messing something up. So here we go. I'm going to clean up a little bit and we're going to, oh, look at that. Yeah. I put the blue down. I put that blue paper. That was the same blue as in the gift bag. So, yeah. Now I'm going to do a little bottom here. I'm going to fussy cut this bottom edge, and I'm going to put that on there. This is kind of where my design went. This is where my mind was going. I had a strip on the top, so why not put one on the bottom? And I fussy cut all those little flowers and all those little leaves there that you see me cut out in a hill. And I've already done it. I love that, don't you? When you're doing an edit, you can just take all that out. You don't have to sit and watch me do that. Then out came the new cutter from Tim Holtz. I always want to say speckle cutter. It's decal. It's the decal. Decal, I think it's called, the decal color cutter. But you know what? Do you remember those scissors we got in the day from Fiskars that have all of the different cuts in it? There's a decal scissor in that if you bought one of the full set ones. Yeah, so you could use that or this, the decal Tim Holtz cutter. Makes it nice and easy, and go over the edges with some kind of an ink so that decal edge stands out. Because it's not very prominent, you're going to need to add a little bit of color so you can see the scriggly edges there. my nice squiggly edges. And that strip alone adds such beauty. If you just left that like that as the back of your card, this is the back now that we're creating, but wait until you see what I did with this gorgeous paper. I fussy cut the large deer. I fussy cut those edges, not that one. I don't think it's that one. It's out of the 12 by 12. Yep, I did it. I think I went to the 12 by 12 because I might have, let me just see. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't. Ooh, yeah, I'm surprising myself. Because I'm doing this, my voice, I ended up with really a lot of problems with my voice this past week. So it was hard to do a voiceover. It seems like I'm always making an excuse, doesn't it? But I did have some for not doing voiceovers. So here we go. We're going to skip that part. I'm going to come back to show you how I created the 3D look. But I went to my stash. I got a little bit of this pearl embellishment off of a dress that I cut up those pieces, parts out of vintage dresses that I get and bridal gowns. And I wanted to use this sheet of paper right here, but I wanted to leave that bottom part on that we took. I'm just cutting it oh so carefully around this edge because this is where the shabby comes in. Do you ever wonder why? Chic, it means it's beautiful, but the shabby, you have to put the shabby in the card or you can't call it a shabby chic card. And oh, I just love this look. So I needed to take off some of the top part, right? And here I am just playing around to see what I'm going to put beside it. Am I going to put another piece of this? Could be. It looks like I am. But even working with this little bit of space, my friends, I had so much fun picking out different papers and adding little pieces parts to make little focal point imaging on there. And it's so pretty. It is. It's just, this is, I have to say, one of my favorite Shabby Chic cards that I have made over the last 6 years. This card, to me, was one of my favorite creations. So I'm so thankful you came over to join me, that we could just enjoy the process of working with beautiful paper on my Creative Spirit Design Team project. Now, I had this piece that fell off of another project I did 5 years ago. It had tons and tons of these chipboard hearts. And these 3 broke off. And I kept them. I just thought, I know I'm going to use this. There is no way. It already had the poils in the center. It had the raised part over top of the chipboard. 3 hearts, in odd numbers. And it worked out perfectly. All I have to do is fill in the hearts with the colored paper I want to use. So I did the pink. I took my distress tool of Kois, distressed the heart, and I distressed it so that the paper was facing up. That does make a difference too. If you're putting paper, let's say in a heart that has pearls around it, you want to distress the paper so it's looking up at you. All of the frayed pieces are not down, because if you do it where you're distressing the paper down, it's going to raise up the paper and it's not going to seat very well in the spot that you have prepared. For me, it was the heart with the pearls around it. And you'll understand as I put it into play here. Whoop, there it goes. You can tell I'm walking around and grabbing supplies, and then I just boop, throw it on the table and move on and find something else. This is my roll of double-sided tape that isn't as high as the Scotch tape, but I'm going to tell you, it is the stickiest tape I've ever worked with. And I will try to leave the link. And here I'm doing the same thing, trying to get any air out from underneath these strips. It is important. And that way, if you do it beforehand, before you take the top off, you don't get that wobbly look behind your paper that you can sometimes get. So I have that beautiful image, and now I'm trying to decide where it goes. I'm not quite sure, so no glue is going to happen on this. Not at all. I'm going to go around the edges of my gorgeous deer, the antlers, the little flowers. Oh, it's beautiful. And I really did fussy cut it carefully. And I'm going to turn them upside down on a piece of foam, heavy foam, and I'm going to take my ball tool and we are going to break the fiber on the opposite side of the image. Whoa, I threw that one in too. Yeah. I was trying to decide, do I do it blue or do I do it pink? But because I distressed the fibers going up, I needed to have the blue side down and the pink side up so that it fits down in. There's nothing preventing the paper from seating itself in. And then I'm going to show you a few ways to hide some boo-boos. You know I make them all the time. I don't try to hide them. I want to show you how to correct things. And I needed to fill this little heart space, and there it was with this little bird. Then I walked over to another project I had done some time ago and got a little twig. And that little tiny twig was tied in a knot where my pencil is there, if you can believe it. I put hot glue on, and I used the hot glue, liquid glue, excuse me. I'm trying to show you that knot. And then I filled the little space with my liquid glue, added some heat from my heat tool so it would dry and it wouldn't keep blinking up, you know, the actual twig I have the bird sitting on. So sweet. I just loved it. Now, I wanted to use this, but you know what I did when I got my scissors? I started cutting too much and I ended up with this little space. And I thought, how am I going to fill that? I have cut so many hearts, I don't want to cut another one. So I'm going to make it, you know, as close to being, I don't like to say perfect because there's nothing perfect. Well, there is, but not in crafting. You can't find anything totally perfect in a shabby chic card. So here I thought, oh, I'll worry about that once I get this piece in. Now you can see all that. I added glue to my boo-boo, and then I came back with prills. Prills save the day for me all the time. Carol, what are you doing? Get something to put those prills on. So then I made a design because it looked kind of empty. So I just, you know, put some glue here and there, added more prills. They were all over the place, but that's fine. I don't know why I didn't get my little vacuum out and vacuum it up. I don't know what I was thinking until right now. Yeah, sometimes I forget, you know, out of sight, out of mind. And when I'm concentrating on this image and this design, I forget I have certain things that make life so much quicker and easier. Now I had this paper that folded in and out to make that nice fringe look. And I thought I'd use some of it on a couple of pages. So I went ahead and grabbed my tiny attacher and I started to staple this together. I grabbed my gesso and I'm going to put a fair amount of gesso on this to tone that hot pink, so to speak. It's hot pink compared to the pink I'm using in the card, but either way would have looked presentable, would have been nice, but I really liked it to be toned down. And when you add gesso to anything, whether it be your paper images or your floral images, it brings it to that shabby chic vintage look for some reason. And I really like it. So I keep my gesso on hand and I'm going to just staple this paper back and forth and use it as a frill. But of course, when I grabbed my tiny attacher, it didn't have any staples. Doesn't that drive you nuts? Yeah, so I had to stop and go get my little staples because it takes the teeny, because it's called the tiny attacher, I think. So I filled it up and I proceeded on to staple down this frill and use it and gesso it, and then so begins the beautiful structure of a four-sided shabby chic vintage card. And once you start getting into this, boy, you can use up some of your stash quick and easy. Another thing when you get a brush. This is kind of a stiff brush. It's one of those ones where you get, you know, about 12 brushes in one package. It's not expensive at all. It's very affordable for these type brushes. And it was really affordable for me because my husband gave me the pack. he had a pack of them in his truck, and he said, hey, can you use these brushes? I bought an extra set. Of course, can I use those brushes? Oh, I love it when that happens. So you have to remember to go bring it and wash it right away and get that gesso off your brush. And I suggest you do it into a cup or a bowl. Don't let it go down your drain because it dries hard as a rock and you're going to run into issues. So if you have a drain stopper, you know, like a netting, you can put some netting right at the bottom, you know, some cheesecloth to collect the chunky bits that you're washing off in your sink. That would be wise, especially using I'm using a bathroom sink next to my craft room, so I don't want to clog it up with those things, and so I just wash mine in a cup, and it's just fine. So now I need to get my image for the largest of the hearts here, of the 3 hearts. And I tell you, when you even look at the front of the Stamperia Pink Christmas set, it's just beautiful. I love the way they add the bit of teal in the upper right corner just to give you a little idea of what kind of cardstock you can work with. I grabbed my prills, the teal colored prill, because I know I'll probably end up having to use them because for some reason it's hard for me to cut a heart when there's a chunk missing out of the heart next to it to get it right, you know. I tend to not worry about it because if it doesn't, you know, if it's not a perfect match, well, that's why you have stash, right? And you just fill it in. In my case, I worked with the prills. So here we go. We're going to start that. There's my piece of foam, and I'm going to get my round ball thingy dingy, and we are going to use, I think I used the largest set, the largest one, and we're going right there. And then we're going to start breaking up that paper fiber, and it's going to make that, you'll see in just a second as you're watching. You want to really press softly, but a lot of times. Don't really dig in because you risk ripping the paper. And then you want to stop and figure out where the muscles are in this animal. And then push down in those areas, because then when you see it, I hope I didn't break his leg. That was awful looking, wasn't it? But when you see that, when I show it to you after it's finished and you are working, you know, softly in the belly, and then you're going to do a lot of times breaking that fiber, pressing into that foam where the muscles are, and then you add some distress ink to those muscle parts that are sticking out, and it gives you a form of an animal that is pretty close to being, you know, realistic looking. It really is. And another thing, you can fill it up with hot glue to keep that nice form, or you can put a little bit of batting in there if you want to keep it up like that. But I found that if you just put the glue on the edges of the animal, just around the edges, and you can put glossy accents, something to hold that fiber underneath of him, and he will stay true to looking realistic with, you know, this muscular form of an animal instead of being a flat existence on the paper, just a flat fussy cut image. And, you know, if you like that look, that you just skip this part. But I happen to like three-dimensional things, and especially in animals and in hearts. Bringing that heart to come way out. And you do it with your ball tool there. The smaller ball, you risk ripping your cardstock. So use the largest ball. A metal one is nice. You know, it rolls nice and easy. And you can see right from looking at it now, without even adding the distress ink, that I end up adding over top of where the muscles are and where I, press down into the foam. You can see how realistic it starts looking. Now I'm going to do the edges with the hot glue and just press around the edge. Now I'm squeezing it to hold the form of the paper. I'm pushing it in so that his little belly sticks out, and look at that. It's beautiful, and it does not squish. You can put that in an envelope, whatever. And his face, when you get down to the jaw, just press down on his neck so that's a little bit more flat, and then you've used the ball tool to bring out his nose and his jaw, and I'm telling you, it looks beautiful. Now we're going to proceed in the deer. You want to do the same thing in the image of the paper, but don't cut it. Leave it in there. Turn it over, and we're going to start working with this. I need to know where this image is. Once I turn the paper over, I can't see it. You can tell I have another pattern. So I want to just make some lines on the actual image that I'm going to have to press out to give me that three-dimensional look. So you're going to do it from the front, then turn it over. You'll see the actual lines that you've made, and then you can make this little deer three-dimensional. Grab your distress brown, put it over top because you've already, indented the structure of the deer, and he looks beautiful. He stands off the... Ooh, look at that. That's amazing. Oh, I love it. Yeah, better get out of here though. So here we go. I'm showing you how the jaw, the face is more raised out than the neck, and then how I went over the muscle parts and added the distress ink so it even stood out more. I'll do the same thing in this deer on the paper, and it just brings out a different look. You end up having all of this beautiful script and these pretty little flowers, and then all of a sudden this deer is standing right off the page. It's like he walked out from a piece of the paper next to him and just said, hello, how's everybody doing there? Yeah, here I am. And if Carol would show it, you would get a better feel of what she's talking about. But she hasn't put the camera down, so we'll just wait a minute and it will happen. She'll notice it. So as we're waiting, we'll distress the edges to put on this white paper. And isn't that deco cutter just perfect? Just gives you that little raggedy edge that, you want to have when you're doing a vintage shabby chic card. So I'm going to, I think, show you how this little deer sticks right out. And I'm just going over with a little bit of the antique color, the distress ink, and making him look like he's walking right off that paper. And he really does. When you look at this and you open it up in real life, it looks like he just walked on out from the underneath portion of this beautiful paper to make his presence known. And I just love that effect. I try to do it many times if I'm dealing with animals. So here we go. I am so sorry I lost the footage right here. I did the same thing on the heart of breaking up the fiber. And now I'm going to add some of the distressed pink ink, and I'm going to tone it down in spots with my white gesso. That's the word, my white gesso. And then I'm going to take my hot glue and I'm going to raise it up on this section. Now watch how I had to cut it there. I was not able to get a proper heart cut on the lower left. The same thing, I couldn't get it in the other heart either. So why stop now, right? Now, so what I did was, because I raised it up and I broke the fiber in this heart, having it upside down and raised it right up, I can put some glue and some, look at that. I didn't even think to get a coffee filter or something to collect my prills. I just pour it on and let it, I don't know what I'm doing. Didn't check my camera. There you go. I have a little bit of it there. But I decided to use hot glue. You don't want to use wet glue because they're going to trickle underneath your heart because you raised it up so much with pressing it down on that mat to give it that 3D look. You'll lose your pearls inside of it. So you want to use hot glue. That way, if you look, come on, what is she doing? Oh, what is she doing? Back and forth, back and forth. Oh, can she get it? Just put it away. Yes, she'll put it away and everything will be fine. Close the lid and move on to something else. But the pearls worked because it gave it that odd, different, shabby chic look. You want to take your gesso here and add some to tone down the hot pink again. This is the easy way of toning down anything that you're using in a vintage shabby chic card. The same as my real green leaves up there. I put it down, took my gesso, my brush, and rubbed some onto my leaves. So it calmed it down. I could still see the veins in the leaves, and it just added that vintage time. It goes back in time. That's what a vintage card is. It is taking something that's new and bringing it back in time. And that's what I think of. I ended up adding another leaf later on because I didn't want to have two. You're going to want to have 3 leaves. And I ended up going over this as well. I wanted to make it a little more white on the fringe. So that's what I did. And I had these pearls that I had in my stash, so it's kind of like on a plastic wiring, and I twist those up and I'm going to put that in. I grabbed my beautiful ribbon. I call it my wrinkle ribbon, and that just gives it the aged look as well. And it's so hard with these papers when you have different designs on each side to pick something. But I wanted the word Christmas. I ended up using these roses as a tag. That is going to go on the inside of the card on another level. So I cut it down. Then I took some cardboard and I put it behind a nice piece of cardboard. I distressed the edges with pink and I put it behind there so it doesn't get torn. It has some nice stability on that. It has Christmas, it has florals, it has the leaves, has the song sheet. It has everything I incorporated into this entire 4-sided image in one tag. I think it's great. I just can't get enough of this set, this pink Christmas. And I'll leave a link to Claire's shop because she's now showing all the newer papers, but this paper is still available. So I will make sure to leave that. I cut out a few of these tags as well. I didn't use them, but it's nice to have, some items that you think you'll use ready to go because you can always set them aside and use them on the next project that you're doing. And you can't take your eyes off this paper. I can't. So many ideas run through my head. I just love, love, love this set of papers. And there's the green leaves that I started out with. I need to grab another one because you want to do objects in odd numbers. If you're just starting out into making cards, try to keep your images in odd numbers. That kind of helps the eye to rest. And here we have that piece of cardboard, a really thin piece of cardboard, and I'm going to protect my tag with that on the back. I'll add some strips of this double-sided tape. It raises it up just enough to satisfy me with wanting to have something not flat to the page. So I put that on. I distressed the edges because I did do the deco cutting and I wanted to see that. I think I used the speckled egg oxide ink, and yeah, it's so pretty. Now I have to decide where it's going to go. I want to make the card a little wider, so I figured I better put it on the inside here. That will widen right there. That will widen up the perception of having a larger card. And of course, you're going to have a little bit sticking out, but not much to risk having your envelope not fit. So here I'm going to use some of my double-sided tape runner that I have in my stash I want to use up, and perfect. Look at that. You just want to twist it the right way and have fun with it. I also put liquid glue that Claire had sent me, and there you go. Isn't that gorgeous? Then look behind there. See, I didn't look behind there, but I only had a little bit of glue I had to remove. So I thought, ooh, quick, get it off. Don't have that much sticking out, Carol. Quick, just a little bit. Come on, just a wee bit. Yeah, that was too much. Because you have a lot of space there on that card. And look at that. Looky, looky. Looks marvelous, darling, marvelous. Once I seat this on the inside of the card, we start to embellish with these items we made. So this is from, I'm pretty sure I got this at a sale at Michael's. It's a long, long pearl wedding thingy. And I just cut it up, and I'm going to twist it into 3 little circles. Sorry about that. And an email just popped in. And I'm going to use the hot glue. I'm going to stick it down. Whatever sticks, that's what I'm working with. If it doesn't stick, I'm going to cut it off. You know, there's only so much time to play with things when you have an idea in your head, that I don't lose the idea because I am fiddling around with, and see, I just cut it off. It's just like, I can't do this. I can't remember. I'll use that someplace else. That's what I think in my head. Just make these 2 loops stick, and let's carry on. And is that not gorgeous? You can see without me kind of honing in, I put the 1 leaf down. I always curl the wire, wrap it around something round, and you know, however big you want the circles to be is however big the stick, the round thing you use to wrap it. Everything's a thing again today, isn't it? Took out my flower stash, and like I said before, if you're new to card making, buy your flowers in cream or white, because you can always cover them to match. You know, if I wanted to match that pink rose, it would be hard to order something in that exact color unless I was ordering directly from that same paper line. But generally, you know, it's hard to match blues and pinks and reds. So I feel it's safe to order flowers or make your own out of the paper. That's easy to do as well. Either or, but I had it in my stash. I wanted to use it. This embellishment will be right there. That puffed out heart with the pink and the gesso. It's not going to flatten out. I have this board behind it, these hearts, these wooden hearts behind the paper, the little birdie on the twig that's tied in a knot. All the colors are honed in to that pond scene right there, and the cabin, the gate. It has everything, my friends. It has everything. Now I had these paper flowers in my stash, so I'm going to use these. They're not so puffied out. They're kind of a flat flower. I love it. Almost like a pinwheel. It's so gorgeous. So, and the color was right on. Right on. Now, I just said to try not to order in colors, but I had already ordered it long, long time ago. Some years back. And so that's where I went to my flower stash, picked out some. I didn't want to overpower the scene or my heart focal point, but I did want to have, I had this leftover piece of paper, so I edged it out with the deco cutter. I put some distress pink ink, and then I am going to make it wavy, and then put the hot glue just on the flat parts, lift it up, put some glue, lift it up, and put some glue on the flat part. And later on, I'll show you what I do with some flat back pearls. You can see the roll in the upper right with the teal color there. I'm going to use those right on this piece. But isn't that gorgeous? It's not too much. It's not too little. You're not, and you just want to use up your space. Now I have this upper portion that I needs to do something with that, but it's not that. So get rid of that. Yeah. And I thought, okay, I have this. I want to put a little frill there. Where do I want to put this? And of course I did it right underneath the deer. I love that. It looked kind of empty up there, don't you think? And so I thought, yes, that's exactly where I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut it with my plane cutter. I'm going to edge the edge that I cut off, and we are going to put it under the top so that it brings down the image. You know, you're not looking up there saying, why is there a cloud or something up there? Anything. Yeah, so that's where this beautiful, beautiful paper went. And you've got that fussy cut edge that matches the deco cutter. The deer's all standing out. He looks real, like he walked right onto the set here. And then I'm going to show you what to put on there under his feet so he's not floating in air, to give him some continuity down at the bottom where he, you know, just isn't floating there on the pink paper. And we'll do it with another sheet of paper that will ground him, and it'll be awesome. So once again, some of the double-sided lifty-uppy paper, just a little bit. This isn't thick. This is half of the depth of the Scotch roll, half. But it's just enough to make a statement. Now we're going to proceed on just creating and making sure that this is set down. I put a little liquid glue so I had some movability there. And it almost looks like a little curtain. I don't know, the look is nice. Then we're going to back up. I'm going to add another leaf to this this set of 2 leaves here on the right hand side underneath it. And I didn't add so much of the gesso so that more of the green stood out, so it drew your attention to that section. I want to fit this little applique piece that I had cut out inside here. I'm not going to leave it white. I'm going to put pink and brown distress ink over top of it. Although it does look nice white, it really does. That didn't bother me in the least. I just thought I'd tone the white down with some distress ink. I put the pearls over top, and I did pounce a little bit of color on the white pearls as well. And isn't that pink flower gorgeous on the lower right hand side? It's a paper flower that I got about 4 years ago, and it's just beautiful. And I just kind of keep them for those special occasions, and this design team card is one of those occasions. Here I'm pouncing some pink. That would look nice right there as well, right there. But I couldn't leave it there. Later on I added some brown, just a little bit to have a shadow. That's what I was thinking of, a little shadow. And I'm starting to love this design already. So here we go. Let's bring it back. And it almost brings those flowers in the cardstock, in that tag, alive. And if you wanted them to stand out more, you could take your colored pencils and color in the paper flowers. You know, there's no end to it. Now, that heart looked really naked by itself. It just didn't do anything for me. So once again, I went to my stash. And because I used the paper, and you know, the one that we stapled together to have the frill, I had this in my stash, this satin ribbon, applique or whatever you want to call this. So I went around, and honestly, it completed this card for me. It really did. I stood back, like I didn't go at it really quick, as you can see. I wanted to be sure that's what I wanted, but it is. It added to that heart so it didn't look so lonely. Yeah. You know, you have that great big poof because we broke the fibers with that round metal ball, and so we have that. It's all, the height of it is gorgeous. So now you will add some type of applique or beads or ribbon, flat back pearls, whatever you have in your stash will do it. And it just adds that little something something. It bends beautifully. The hot glue, adding it to here. Yeah, I think I created this with a smile the whole time. Now, once we get this on, I'm hopefully going to zoom out. I'm just showing you that deer on the paper. Isn't it cute how it seems like it's stepping out from underneath that upper paper? I just had to let it sit there and just take it in because it really is a cute image and paper. I'm going to put this frill on the upper portion, I'm pretty sure, of the upper section of the card. I need to get out my gesso, tone down this leaf. You can see how I did this spiral thing on the wire on the bottom, put it around a thicker round object just so it could be not as thin as the other layers of leaves on the wire. Yeah, trying to explain that there. And I'm going to blow it dry so I can add it pretty quick. I left more of the green on this one. I really like that. And it's so funny because the three objects that you see on the top I don't even use there. The one tag, love that tag with the nice bridge and the church in the background, the snow, the trees. It was so pretty, but you know, you can, and I shouldn't say anything until I get going because I am doing the voiceover a little bit after the fact here. And so I may use that tag. Something's just, yeah. So here's where I'm squeezing this in. And because it has wire going up the leaf, I end up, you know, pushing it up and making it have hill and valley. It's nice to have a lot of dimension when you're working with the Shabby Chic card and having your gesso close by to tone colors down. I'm giving you a close-up here of this one page. That's the inside page. Then I slowed down the tutorial so you could see that little deer in the paper. How wonderful he looks, like he's sliding out from the paper. Watch this. Isn't he sweet? So three-dimensional. It is crazy. And you can do that with any image you have in your cardstock by just putting it on a piece of foam and taking your stylus and breaking the fiber in any image you have without having to cut out an image. Do it right from the paper and it adds that beautiful effect. Now I'm going to my crinkle ribbon, I call it, my vintage ribbon. I'm going to make, I think I make 3 loops in a bow that I put down. And just underneath that piece of silk applique, there was kind of like a hole there I wanted to cover. So what do you cover it with? Of course, a wrinkle ribbon bow. And it looked so pretty. And then you can make a hill and valley on your bowstrings, which just adds to the vintageness of this. And I'm going to use the hot glue. If I ever get this bow tied, oh yes, I end up doing it. But I guess it's taking me a while and I'm not doing it in the focus. So I guess we'll just have to wait here till I get it on there. And oh, I only ended up doing all that time and I only ended up doing 2. I think I'd have 9 loops for the time it took, but only 2. And now we're going to make a hill and a valley with the strings. I think I'm going to cut it off a little bit there, I'm pretty sure. And although, you know, it doesn't look bad if you leave it extra long, especially if you're going to make hills and valleys on it. It'll look nice. Here we go. Poof it up, adds, oh, I tucked it under that flower. That looks nice, then you don't see the glue. Good move, Carol. And then we're going to add, I had this little piece of twisty wire. So I put it underneath that white flower, which I pounced with brown ink. And as you can see, not much but the gesso I end up leaving white. There, I cut them off. Oh, I feel so much better. Because you do want to see the things that I placed on the bottom, which I add a few little things, just a few little things that add to this image, to this beautiful tag and flowers and leaves. It's just beauteous. Yeah, so let's get that on the top here. This is our, I'm going to cover it too, because I did use a tiny attacher to staple this back and forth so that I did have that drape look. And I have that drape. Here's my flat back pearls. Now I did not put them in the middle. I put them down towards the bottom edge of this Hill and Valley piece of paper. You want to have a little bit of, I don't know, you don't want everything in the middle. It just really does add to the look of it if everything isn't precise, and I think you know what I mean. So I pushed the flat back pearls more to the bottom, and then on the hills of this paper I add some brown ink to add texture, to give it that nice textured look. I'm going to add some pearls just right here in the corner of my tag. Once again, this is just to add a little bit of femininity to the card. I think it's so crazy pretty with the hot glue. These are the things when you sit back, excuse me, and you look at what you've created, and then you can do the finish up with the little bits and pieces you have laying around. And that's what I did. I had this stretchy ribbon that had the pleats in it, the white, so I covered up the staples. Now that would look nice with not covering those staples, okay? That's the vintageness of the whole design. You could leave those staples and they could be open. It would look fantastic. But I had cut off this strip for there, so I thought, why not use it? Just put it down. It is so pretty, and it is white. I leave this white. It's all white, isn't it? Excuse me, I'm sorry. My voice is starting to get raspy again. I'm just waiting. We bought a freezer, and so and a half a cow, so we're waiting for the freezer first. Yeah, that's the order of things. Get your freezer, get it, you know, wait a week or two, and then get your meat and put it inside. So I'm waiting on that. So I keep looking out the window to see if the truck is here as I'm doing this voiceover. But I wanted to have it completed for you for this wonderful Saturday. It is about 50 degrees here, which is unbelievable. We've had snow and ice a couple of days ago, and now we're up to 50 degrees. And oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm just going to jump in here. I did add this tag to some blue paper, just stash paper. And then on the left-hand side, to give it dimension, put some dark ink. Move this over. Don't have it so symmetrical. Leave a little bit of blue on there. Then distress the left side, and it gives the illusion of having depth. I did slow this portion down to normal speed so that I could show you everything that we did. I put a little bit of twine on there with the peachy pink color. I put that little round thing under the bow. I did add a bow underneath this heart that you didn't see me do that. The flat back pearls on the paper that is Hill and Valley paper, my little bird, the ribbon at the top. I love this card design. I am so thankful that I was able to come up with this and use it for my design team project at My Creative Spirit. These papers, oh, there's the little strip of paper that I put underneath our deer so that it you don't necessarily have to put ink to ground your images. You can ground them with some paper, and that's what I did there. And this is the front of the image. I did have that openness right there on the left, lower left corner that I wanted to come up with something. So I think, oh, these are the bags I'm going to put them in, which has nothing to do with nothing right now. I don't know why I'm taking them out. I don't have a clue. I am just using up some paper. Here's another one of those round circles that that I put the glossy accents on. I'm going to put it to cover that hot glue in my ribbon strand. You'll see it in a minute. No, I don't think I took it there. Do I? You're kidding. What do I cover that glue with at the bottom? on the ribbon. That's bothering me just looking at it. I must have put something there. I can't imagine. There. Up, down. Cover that, Carol. Right there. Yes. Cover it. Quick, before your hot glue dries. Oh, I don't even know. But you can see when I hone in there. What are you doing, Carol? Did you put that? Yeah, see that hot glue? It shows right in there. I don't know why I'm doing this. This is crazy. I need to cover it. But, oh, isn't that pretty? Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, this paper just brought this card alive. There's the flat back pearls. You can see on the mountain parts I put dark ink. There's our 3D deer right there. Isn't he cute? You didn't have to put anything else on the back. He spoke for himself right there. And, oh, here, finally, I'm going to cover that up. I must have added more hot glue because that would be impossible for even that amount of time for it not to dry. Yes. Okay, good. I'm adding some more hot glue. Okay, I feel better. Then I'm going to tuck it in. Even if I didn't take the hot glue off, it would add just more, it'd add more dimension, right? So that's cool. There we go. Oh, love this. And remember, this is the inside of our card. So close the card up. You'll get the 3 hearts. Look at all that imagery. I love it. Thank you once again for joining me as we go over this 4-sided My Creative Spirit Design Team card that goes inside the gift box that I had made in the previous video. I just really like the combo, and you're going to love the next tutorial. It's a 3-piece set, so I look forward to that. Thank you for always leaving me wonderful comments. It's so good to hear from you when I create. Thank you to Clare for sending me these wonderful products to create for her. Please go over and check My Creative Spirit out. Check all of the links that I have for the products that I used over on My Creative Spirit. And here we go. I'll add it to the gift box. I will leave this video at the end of my video here. And please enjoy the pictures. Thank you for subscribing. Just thank you for being an encouragement to me and inspiring me as you view my tutorials. And my friends, that is it. And I will see you on the next tutorial.